Maria.
No.
Ite Muhammadu batara no badala banko kan yadi le ka kaspa o kini te jang. Sain.
Ngodo. Fe malon ko balu ya kala ko dani. Ibe bandala banko kan dawo da. Ese kaspa o kino kana gambe jang. Ado abe tariyari nyami. Aba soni yari wala fana nyami.
Inyanta min kela drong wala ka log onto www.baluo.com. Ye prepaid electricity sang min ka bonale electricity company solto min bale Gambia banko kanjang Senegal, Mali, Nigeria and Sierra Leone.
Ikole ngambulo luku with whatever we do. Jioni safu no la with whatever we do. Hale yide munyu skula nyepamne ne kudlukula nyepangala gena nyepamne ne kudlukula ibuloke no moto ni beti sola ibuloke dato ni betoto
Bege Lamin na Lamin te jibe norin te nyame Lamin
kabana wulokono
wulokono nyinta mo Lamin
pabilenki
muna ngata afamole
haina
ngata ngoto le fabrama
mingi baba nyola
no ngoto le fabrama
Na mu jumara kan kuma diten.
fabrama
Jumara mu.
ndele bare muso
Lunda mana.
mo kata
Jamani mbere.
lindo ko
Jamani.
bari ngoto man kontande
Bari jamani fana na ramu wa kontan.
ngoto minaka ngalamin de fon filitala lamin jibe nori nyaala
Lamin ila siran sama ne benki. Yala so tol sayni no ko mo lokku momo.
ngoto
Nam.
iterinte yalo ne lamin hakkilo diata bake karambugot anu santeng ministry ko di ngole si suko na amanke ko do holi de
Si bitun.
bagona de
ala ni ko kede namo balo
Ala ni na ko na karta bulo be dam ala ni je.
ngoto
Nam.
ngoto mon kontan feren
Jamani mu ne keda.
ifika lamin ki wulo ko no nyintai mon ko do fete malo lamin nyande sila la be la moy kala karango
Jamani karamu be soron ne ko fasita wulo ko nako.
baba
karambu wol ma soron ni ko karambu wol soron da amanke ko holiday lem ngoto dindi wo nyanta sila la ala karango la moy yamen kamen fue man kontan anda mande
alla nyin kombo kurang ada ndalla kombo len do la jankara mol soron do kamen kurang ma ra do kombo e ko ndol fana na kara mol soron je kara mol soron lamin ada lo nyino la man tara fe na sokon ala munekela
lamin ite fete malon ko lesinol be ke kar radio to
nga fine
e ko nyani mo lamin
nga fine
ya mo na fonye
bi kabin mina kan tambita nteri maning fatu tambite la sukol ala dinol bebe siri be la moyka
faru dan so am tambita subala la ngaje dinol be jet talanta nen kili waro e be serin jelet
sa lamin fadante ku kili ko keno la ba lamin bita ka wulo ko no nyinta mo alamin
amandara fenela
ite dine ko di man si yakaru lesinol la moy radio to e balon na
muneka ke afonde ba nyara ni alon
telentel jikot
afonde ba munebe ke
ite balon tel be jikritel ni man karambe ku kele yaje nata karana mbasa malaya ay tarije
par ñarande kombo courant ho findira kombo ide na rajede ni sonka bay ko lamin manya tala wulo ko aru karam mo be so da fa membe
ko to wole nati bawo ngalle ni lamin kuntala kombo courant o ka fa me kombo courant asototal wala kinay ko e sisu kono bari ni ko e sisu kono be karangol dike la radio lin telel to hani tele masoto to nyaay man tele soto la bongo bar radio be bulen koto batiri sanga ay si ay alamo
sa do kala nyaadi
ko ta o bulaji
ado kala nyaadi
kamun ke nyaadi
radio abe wala moy la be mona falaje
ibe la karandirol kala jele
ti talle be radio ko men ka karandirol
ile subject ro baby jele baby jele
wala nanga cojo moy fa dan so wala ngombe tambi kana ngadi ni wolde be ikadum bungo de ko kada
ma asototal de
la min mala be karawala de
bari
laftalal ideal on ko inde every year second wala fourth
mona ni ko de ko folle sinila mba ndele sinilo ne ba
mba say mba foke en koto wole fango yen wulindi yalo famo keta bat yin fana bulata ko ko me yen nati jambi la min nyanta karana ndel be jiko be nyineka ya bulay kara wulo kono ta kilar ya bambalo yo be bulaje koto dindi ngoy si ayala le sino la moy radio
wala ka munda karamo man soro la men nyana kara si so na
radio la sila le ayala le sino
dal ko korno ko smolo
kilar ya
be ngala ko momo say mi do ni ko no kera
mengi bruzo
ndelo ko ro la ba rosa no radio ba no bari woro radio ni abe je le ba ngamra do man nembe buljan dala nyara nyar wo ko fendi mo la tan tayra ba rosa
bara te ku folo ajibe nori nya labi tamete ku
muna na de
teku
bari ko do famo ke
imagine nani nyambol si zol ne keje kisi man si zol no le kabun ka nyoma bari nyambu kilo ni manya na kafindi ni nambe korosor laga
ngale limbeta de be nyambo do dilanna
nyara ni ko ridin fennat nyara nata
bari famo ke da
ngata bungono tambi bungono nyara ngando ko fele ko ke e baru nganda ni pelo landi jak
iyo awa be la
bungono bismillah bisu diara
pendulala yefungo tanka sina dolu tanka koro korota korota.
Greeting to you all. This is Mr. Ba, and welcome back to History Lesson 3. If you remember last time when I appeared before you, I was looking at the ethnic groups of the Senegambia. We first looked at the Mandinka, tried to trace their origin, which we said was Mali. They came from Manding, which was from the ancient Mali Empire. Then we look at their social, political, and economic organization. We look at the effects of their migration and also the features of the Mandinka political system. That was where we concluded from. So I gave you an assignment that you were supposed to try. So, and the question was examine the importance of age set under the Mandinka traditional society. The age sets perform numerous and different functions under the Mandinka traditional society. We might not be able to give you all, but I'll just give you a few of them. One of the functions of this age set was to assist each other in terms of needs, in terms of difficulties. For example, when somebody have wedding or naming ceremony, the members will come and help in the work. Okay, they can fetch firewood, fetch water, cook food, and distribute food among the guests. So another very important function of this age set was that they participate in communal work, communal service. Understand? They render services to the community like maintenance of roads, bridges, and clearing of fire belt around the villages and stuff like that. And also the Musukeba Kafu and the Keba Kafu normally give advice to the young one. They try to mediate, they try to solve problems to make sure that there is peace and stability within the society. So essentially these are some of the important functions, of the age set among the Mandinka society. So our today lesson, we will look at another very important ethnic group in the Gambia. It is one of the major ethnic groups also in the Gambia, that is the Wolof. The Wolof are the third largest ethnic group in the Gambia. So like we did under the Mandinka, we will first try to trace their origin, look at the reason for their migration, talk about their social, political, as well as their economic organization, and if time permits us also, we will look at the Wolof Empire. So, when we talk about the origin of the Wolof, the origin of the Wolof is not very certain. It is not very clear. It is not well known. Okay? But different theories have been given about the origin of the Wolof. We might not have time to look at all the theories, but I will take you through the most popular claim about the origin of the Wolof. The Wolof are believed to have migrated from the Sahara area into the Senegambia region. When I say they are believed to have originated from the Sahara area, one may wonder, what were they doing in the Sahara area? The Sahara area, as it is known today, was sometime, in ancient time, it was not a Sahara. In fact, it was once fertile, full of life and rivers with cities, flora and fauna, that is plants and animal. And there used to be some trading centers. A lot of activities were going on in that area. However, the area was struck by natural calamities. Some of them were natural calamities, some were man-made, as a result of the destruction of the forest cover, the rivers dry up, plants and animals died, and the people begin to move out in search of better environment suitable for agriculture and habitation. Consequently, they settled around the areas near the River Senegal and the River Gambia. This is one of the most popular claims about the origin of the Wolof. That is, they came from around the Sahara area. Okay? So, having said that, I just want to briefly show you a map of the Wolof Empire. If you look at this map, you are going to see Walo, Kayor, Bawol, Siin, and Salum, and Jolof. These were the 6 states that constituted the Wolof Empire. Now let's look at the reason for the Wolof migration. Like other ethnic groups, in our previous class we talked about the reason for the Mandinka migration. One of the reasons why people normally migrate is to look for greener pastures, is to look for places where they can better up their lives. So the Wolof also are no exception. One of the reasons why they left the Sahara area, as alluded to earlier, was because the area used to be very fertile, full of life. But due to natural calamities, the area turned into a desert. Okay? Once the area turned into a desert, their agricultural activities were affected. So as a result, they have to move out. So they came to Senegambia region, just like the Mandinka, in search of fertile lands for agriculture, so that they can cultivate crop and they can have food to eat. So that is one of the reasons why they moved. So there were also some political reasons why the Wolof migrated to the Senegambia region. They also wanted to build empires where they can rule. So you can see that when they came to the Senegambia area, they were able to build the Wolof Empire, which was a very mighty empire. Just to save time, I will refer you to the the reason for the Mandinka migration is the same reason that led to the migration of the Wolof. Now, to save time, we will continue with the consequences of the Wolof migration, that is the impact or the effect of the Wolof migration. One of the effects of the Wolof migration into the Senegambia area was because, one of the effects was that the Wolof language became a lingua franca in the Senegambia region. If you say lingua franca, it means it becomes the language of commercial transaction. It became the language of commerce. You can see that the Wolof language is widely spoken in the Senegambia region, especially when it comes to business transaction. Almost everybody, use the Wolof language for that. So that is one of the effects of the Wolof migration into the Senegambia region. Another effect of the Wolof migration into the Senegambia region was that close ties between the Gambia and Senegal were established. Example, citizens of both countries could communicate easily. So this migration led to the creation of closer ties. It cemented the ties between the people of the Gambia and the people of Senegal. Thirdly, there was also the extension of the Wolof Empire into the Gambia. For example, if you look at the Wolof Empire, you realize that one of the states under the Wolof Empire, that is the state of Salum, was in the Gambia. So that was another impact of the Wolof migration. When they migrated, they created the Wolof Empire, and one of the states under the Wolof Empire was in the Gambia. 5, the introduction of new political dispensation. Women were allowed to occupy leadership positions. Example, the Lingel. One of the political impact of the Wolof migration is that, it's led to the introduction of a new political dispensation. Women play a very important role in the Wolof political system. They were never left behind. They play a very important role. For example, the role of the linger. So this position was a symbolic position that was meant for the women. It becomes the rallying point of women contribution in the Wolof Empire. So women play a very important role in that. So which was not very common at that time, because if you look at the Mandinkas, they have a patriarchal society where the male dominated everything. But under the Wolof play a very important role in their political dispensation. Another impact of the Wolof migration is that it led to long-distance trade being extended to the Gambia, the extension of long-distance trade into the Gambia. Some Wolof businessmen, cross the border from Senegal, come to the Gambia and trade with the people of the Gambia. Number 7, it led to the influx of professionals and artisans into the Gambia. The Wolof migration led toward the influx of professionals and artisans into the Gambia. If you look at the Gambian society, you will see a lot of Senegalese who are involved into a lot of trades: carpenters, masoners, tailors, musicians. All of this was possible because of the migration of the Wolof into the Senegambia region. Okay, in fact, in some areas in the Gambia, they dominate the skill sector in the Gambia. Another important consequence of the Wolof migration was that it led to the introduction of the caste system. When you talk about the caste system, we are talking about the social stratification, how the society was divided into social classes. You have the nobles, you have the commoners, you have the artisans, and you have the slaves. So, in fact, the Wolof have a very, rigid caste system. So it led to the introduction of the caste system into the Gambia. Hope you are following. Now, having looked at the consequences or the effect or the impact of the Wolof migration, we will now go ahead and look at the political organization of the Wolof. Now, the Wolof Empire, by all means, or by all intent and purpose, was more or less a confederation or loose association of independent states. Now, when the Wolof came to the Senegambia region, they built a very formidable empire. And the empire became known as the Jollof Empire. It was a confederation or loose association of 6 independent states. Namely, you have Jollof, the capital. You have Bawol, Walo, Kayor, Siin, and Salum. We must emphasize here that Siin and Salum were separate states, but they were part of the Wolof Confederation, or the Wolof Empire. So we say a confederation because each of these states enjoy autonomy in the way they run their own affairs. They were expected to cooperate with the Burba Jollof in matters of imperial interest, such as defense, trade, and provision of revenue. The head of the Wolof Confederation or Empire was the Burba Jollof. And the first Burba Jollof is the Jajanjai, the Njandinjai. Okay? He was the first Burba Jollof of the Wolof Empire. The Burba Jollof was the figurehead, and he was to defend the confederation at all costs, and he was also responsible for the general welfare and the well-being of the subject. The Wolof Confederation was a voluntary association. Some believe that it was a voluntary association. Some say that it was based on conquest. Of course, there are oral tradition that suggests that the Wolof Confederation, when the Wolof came to the Senegambia, of course they live in separate independent state, but they have the history of quarreling over the distribution of firewood. Okay, they always quarrel over distribution of firewood until one day somebody appeared and solved the problem. He did it for the second time, and the third time, when he came, they detained him, they captured him. Okay? There are different information, conflicting information. He was a mysterious figure. But some also believe that he was not a mysterious figure, but he was a human being. So we will not go into that. But what is important is that incident is what led to the formation of the Wolof Confederation. When they detain him, they make him the head of the Wolof Confederation. And that one, they gave him the title Njajanjai. Njajanjai is an expression of, utter amazement. It was the circumstances in which he appeared and solved the problem was extraordinary. So that's why they call him Njajanjai. So this is how he became the head of the Wolof Confederation. So that is how the Wolof Confederation was formed. Now we proceed and look at the social organization of the Wolof. The social organization of the Wolof, like that of the Mandinka neighbors, they also maintain a rigid endogamous social stratification. A rigid endogamous social stratification. Mean that their society also was highly stratified. People were divided into social class. Like we said when we are discussing the Mandinka, the class that one belonged to was determined by birth. It was not by choice. It was not by choice. Okay? But it was by birth. And this thing was transmitted from one generation to another. Now, when you say endogamous, it means that people marry within their own caste. It was very difficult for somebody to marry outside of your own caste. For example, if you are from the artisan group, it was almost impossible for you to marry somebody from the freeborn, from that class, because they were seen to be above you. So marriage was strictly prohibited between the caste system. Although we have to emphasize here that members of the freeborn can intermarry with the nobility or with the royalty. That was possible. But for those people that belong to the artisan group and the slave group, it was very difficult for them to marry outside of their caste. That is what we mean by endogamous society. So it was an endogamous society. Now, under the Wolof also, 4 distinct classes can be identified. 4 distinct classes could be identified. One of the classes, just like the Mandinka, is the nobles. We have the nobles. Who were the nobles? The nobles belonged to the royal family. They were the most important members of society. They occupied the highest rung of the social ladder. And just like the Mandinka, the noble consisted of the king, his wife, the queen, the prince, the princesses, the war generals, and their family members. These were the people that were the nobles. They occupied the highest rung of the social ladder. In short, they were the most important, the most respected members of society. And these are the people that occupy the political class. They were the leaders. Then, next to the noble, you have the freeborns. The freeborns. Under the Wolof, you have 2 different groups, subgroup under the freeborns. You have those called the Jambur. Jambur. That is the wealthy traders and farmers. The wealthy traders and farmers we are referred to as Jambur. And the poor farmers or the peasants were referred to as the Badolo. The Badolo also were members of the freeborn, okay, but they were kind of different from the Jambur. But they all belong to the same social class. Then, these people were also very, very important in society. They were next to the nobles, and they include the farmers, the traders, the soldiers, the marabouts, the fishermen, and so on and so forth. These were the freeborn. They came second in the social hierarchy. Then below the freeborns, you have the artisans, the artisan group. Under the artisan group, you have the tega. The tega is the smiths. Smiths, that is the blacksmith. Then you have the ude. Ude is a Wolof word which means the leather workers. And then you have the gewel. The gewel are the griots or the praise singers. Then you also have the these are the members of the artisan group, the tega, the ude, and the gewel. So they were also very skillful in their respective trades. The Tega, the blacksmith, were responsible for making some tools that were needed, for example, cutlasses, rakes, farming implement generally. They also make household utensils, like cooking pot, spoons, The Ude also were very, very instrumental, in leather work. For example, they make belts, they make shoes, and the Gewel were also very, very important. In fact, they were the custodian of society, history. They were the custodian of history. They were the collective memory of society. They preserve and conserve history, and they transmit it from one generation to another. So together, these people form the artisan class. And the next group was the slaves. The slaves occupied the lowest rung of the social ladder. They were called jam in Wolof. Jam, meaning slaves. The jam were the slave. And like the Mandinka, you have different categories of slave. You have the domestic slave, you have the commercial slaves, you can have the military slave, and also you can have the military slave, yes. So this is the members of the social organization of the Wolof, just like the Mandinka. There is no much different. They have 4 different classes. Each of these social classes have a distinct role to play in society. They have their own role that they play. And together, they complemented each other. Together, they were responsible for moving the society. Now, from there, we move on to the economic organization of the Wolof. The economic organization of the Wolof. Now, the economy of the Wolof was based on tax and trade. The economy of the Wolof was based on tax and trade. Tax include grains, cattle, and native clothes. That is, farmers at the end of the year, they pay tax in the form of grains. Those who own cattle at the end of the year, they pay part of their cattle as tax. And also those who were involved in weaving pay some of their woven clothes as tax. So the Wolof were also engaged in trading activities with the people of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, which was an important source of economy. The Wolof were involved in long-distance trade. They were trading with the people of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. In fact, they even traded with Europeans. So trade was an important source of economy, source of income for the Wolof Empire. Peasants and tribute from vassal state also presents and tribute from vassal state was also another important source of revenue for the Wolof economy. The different states under the Wolof Confederation have to pay tribute. Those are the ones that are called, and also the other conquered states. So they pay tribute to the Wolof Empire. Duties were also paid by outsiders, while wrongdoers were also fined. Outsiders who want to come and trade with the Wolof will have to pay duties when they come in. And those who committed crimes, taken to court, and were found guilty were also fined. The fine that they pay also contributed to the economy of the Wolof. Another important source of revenue for the Wolof Empire was the farmers that cultivated crops. The farmers among them cultivated crops such as maize, rice, and groundnut. The Wolof also form age sets. Just like the Mandinka, they also have age sets. These age sets were very, very instrumental in raising fund and revenue. Like I said, when we are discussing the Mandinka, these age sets were like cooperative societies of modern times. They were structured according to age. Those people that belong to the same age bracket, will form their own group. Okay, and they were involved in a lot of fundraising activities. They can work for people in their farms, do weeding, harvesting, and they will get paid for the work. And this money they keep and they use it as a revolving fund for the members. So they perform work such as building of road, repairing of structures, bridges, weeding and harvesting. In short, this is the economic organization of the Wolof. Now we move on and look at the decline and the fall of the mighty Wolof Empire, that is the Wolof Confederation. After a successful period of existence, the Wolof Empire decline and fall. One of the reasons for the fall of the Wolof Empire was because of succession disputes. Succession disputes among the members of the ruling families. There was no definite law governing succession. So therefore, when the position of the Buruba Jolof become vacant, there's often that succession dispute. There's conflict over who is going to succeed him next. And oftentimes this conflict, will result to internal disputes, okay? And when there's internal dispute, as the saying goes, when cool, things fall apart. So these succession disputes, to some extent contributed to the decline of the Wolof Empire, because the members of the royal family were supposed to be united, work together and build the Wolof Empire. But once they started internal dispute, they started fighting, that will result to, that will definitely shake the empire, and this is exactly what happened. Another very important reason behind the decline and fall of the Wolof Empire was that some of the coastal states, confederating states such as Kayor, became very rich and powerful due to trade links with Europeans, while the capital Jolof declined in prosperity. Hence, she was in a landlocked position. This led to the decline in the influence of the Buruba Jolof. Very important point. The Wolof Confederation consisted of 6 states, and Jolof was the capital. Jolof was in a landlocked position, okay? And therefore they cannot trade with outsiders, for example, the Europeans. But some of the states like Kayor enjoy trading relationship with Europeans. As a result, they become very rich and they become very, very prosperous. In fact, they become more prosperous than Jolof, the capital. So while they are becoming more prosperous, Jolof is declining, they begin to secede from the confederation. They begin to pull out because they become richer and more powerful and more influential than the capital, which was Jolof. And then because of that, the empire began to disintegrate. Another important reason for the collapse of the Wolof Confederation is that the other states started to claim for their independence, and eventually they broke away. An example here is under the Damel. It was a confederation. At some point, they no longer feel that they are interested in the confederation, and they began to break away. So once they broke away, the Damel broke away, that affected the empire, and eventually it led to its fall. And finally, another very important reason that accounted for the decline and fall of the Wolof Empire was there was an external factor. External forces were waiting to take advantage of the internal dispute as a chance to strike. For example, a band of Mauritanian rebels attacked the Wolof Empire in 1817, which led to its total and final collapse. In 1817, a band of Mauritanian rebels took advantage of the internal struggle, both at the royal family level, at the federation level. Some of those people that were trying to secede and break away, there were a lot of, confusion and struggle and fighting that was going on. So the Mauritanian rebel took advantage of that internal struggle to launch their strike. And when they strike, they succeeded in disintegrating the Wolof Empire in 1817. So essentially, these are some of the most important factors responsible for the fall of the Wolof Empire. So thank you very much, viewers. This is the end of the presentation on the Wolof Empire. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Until I come your way next time, thank you very much.